Hi, are you on awakening journey? Let's talk about that. Um, so I only made some notes, so I might be all over the place, and that's completely fine. So let's get started. So the well-known people that we know in history that went through a very big awakening, the people that we know the most that did. And I know that there's a lot of biblical terms in here. It's not really religious in my eyes, even though a lot of these things come from the Gnostic texts. And I will try to keep this as quick as possible. If I have to, I will make multiple parts, so get ready for that one. So first, it starts off with someone named Sophia. And Sophia was a soul with the divine in the spiritual realm, I guess. I don't know how to describe that. And Sophia created the demiurge, which is considered God. It's like a false god. And personally, I see the demiurge as a wounded child. I know most people don't see the demiurge like that. They see the demiurge as this evil thing that created archon demons that did horrible things and all this other stuff. But really, I see the demiurge as a wounded child. And this is why I think so. So when the demiurge was a baby, when he was first created by Sophia, Sophia created the demiurge herself, by herself, which created something not the best, I guess. I don't know how to explain that properly. And instead of nurturing him into something better, she pushed him away and then trapped him in a space. And of course, the demiurge became resentful, and the more he became resentful, he started reacting in hurt. Of course, he didn't want to be alone, so he created archons, the demons, that could help control his space, and so that he wouldn't be alone. I know that they don't word that in the text, but that's exactly how I see it. So the story goes that Sophia is not only just one being, but she is, technically it's two beings in one. And to get back at Sophia, the demiurge ripped them apart, so then they would have to find each other again. It's why there is something called the twin flame journey, and it helps awaken the masses. But I'm not getting involved with the twin flame journey right now. I will explain that in later videos. So Sophia is considered a light bringer, and so is Jesus, but I will get into that in this video actually. So Sophia she ends up wanting more enlightenment as the being she is, and she gets lured into a part of this dimension that isn't the best, and she gets trapped there. And she goes through a intense awakening process. And I will explain that a little later with Mary Magdalene in this video. So keep watching. And of course, Sophia is crying. She's really upset. She's in this dimension prison and she's being tormented. And Jesus, well, technically he's Yeshua. Yeshua from, his human life, before he became Yeshua as Jesus, he heard her cries because Yeshua, I can't say his name right sometimes, Yeshua was her divine counterpart as twin flame situation. So he came and got her and liberated her from the prison. Now, Jesus is a light bringer as well. And I'm going to get into their stories because both of them reincarnated on Earth. Sophia reincarnated as Mary Magdalene. And there's a lot of Mary Magdalene's story, which is her, and I'm going to call it her avatar name, because in reality, I don't know if they want to go by their soul names or by their avatar names from Earth. So I'm just going to explain it in ways that make sense for each section. So Mary Magdalene, there's a lot of Mary Magdalene's story that isn't talked about much. So Mary Magdalene in the Bibles, they try to make her look not great because they want to suppress her. All the way out through history, the feminine, the divine feminine, has been suppressed in history, and you can do a deep dive on that and figure that out on yourself, because this video isn't about that. But there's a part of Mary Magdalene's story that isn't widely talked about, so not everybody knows. So there is a story about Mary Magdalene before she meets Yeshua, which is Jesus, but Yeshua, which is his real name, is Yeshua. And she was in a caravan. She was traveling with a group of other people who are also women, and a group of men came at the caravan, and I don't know how to say this on YouTube, so I'll try my best. They came at the caravan, they attacked the women, and they killed everyone but Mary Magdalene. So, and they kept Mary Magdalene as a slave. And this makes sense to me because of the fact that people who end up going through an awakening journey, a lot of us have extreme trauma or have had a really, really hard life. And so, and it's to prep us for what we have to do in the future. And I know a lot of people don't like hearing that. They don't like to know that their pain has this thing. A lot of people don't want to recognize that, and they feel attacked by that. And I'm sorry, that's not my intention. But Mary Magdalene was a slave, not a prostitute. She was assaulted multiple times while she was a slave. Now, Mary Magdalene, there's a part of the story that not everybody knows or can relate to or whatever. And they immediately say that this section is evil, and it's not. There is a theory, or there's text somewhere, that says that during the time of her being a slave, she created a dark self. Now, just because I say dark self doesn't mean that it's evil. So she created a dark self. And the dark self was to help her get through what she was going through. Because, you know, with a lot of individuals like myself, we are very gentle and kind and things like that. So when we go through hard things, we develop a part of ourselves that grows thick skin. We learn to defend ourselves and things like that. We do things more aggressively because we find this person within us that, you know, and most of these teachings is called the dark self. And hers connects to Lilith. So her self, and Lilith gets a bad name, it's because a lot of people don't know Lilith's story. But it is said that Lilith is a part of Mary Magdalene, that it's her dark self. Because there always has to be a yin and yang. There always has to be a balance between light and dark energies. And we got to remind ourselves that just because something is labeled dark doesn't mean that it's evil. We need a balance within that. Everything happens for a reason. So she developed herself as Lilith to rescue her during these hard times when she was in slavery and she was being assaulted. Probably in many other different ways. But the church labeled her as a prostitute to dismantle her name and who she was. The demiurge orchestrated all of this because they wanted to attack her. He wanted to bring her down, essentially, because he was hurt. So the demiurge does have some type of control on this plane called Earth. So that is the reason why a lot of us who go through an awakening get bad luck. We go through a lot of things, but we also have to realize that we need to take our power back. So when Mary Magdalene also embodied her Lilith, she was able to get the power to escape from her prison. So then she also journeyed to Yeshua, which people call him Jesus. And I made notes, so if I look down, I'm looking at my notes so I can stay focused. So I'm also going to jump to Yeshua, which is Jesus. And Jesus is also a light bringer. Now, what a lot of people don't understand and want to reject quite aggressively, especially the church and Christianity, is that Jesus, for 30 years, there's a part of his life that is not documented. Or in biblical sense, there is a lot of things. When you understand completely Yeshua's teachings and that it's more spiritual than anything, and it doesn't mean what the church has been saying, when you realize that, it's a big eye-opener. So there's a book called Jesus Was a Zen Master. And the 30 years that he was missing, he was studying as a Zen master. He was becoming a Zen master. So then when he came back, he was trying to teach people what he had learned and that he was enlightened. The church didn't like that, so they murdered him. And I don't know what Yeshua's name was when, I don't know how to explain this properly, while he was a soul before he reincarnated as Yeshua. I only know Mary Magdalene's was Sophia. So of course, when I talk about Yeshua, I'm either going to interchangeably use his name, either Jesus or Yeshua, but Yeshua's his real name, avatar name on this planet when he reincarnated. And here's the part that people don't like about his story. So Yeshua not only is a light bringer, his shadow side is Lucifer. And I jokingly call him Lucy. And you can thank the show Lucifer for that. So Lucy, if you actually read biblical text, it actually tells you that Lucifer and Jesus are the same person. And when you read a lot of the stuff that Lucifer did, some of it isn't actually bad. I mean, with the blinded way that a lot of religious people think, they twist it in their head and they make it seem like so evil. But in reality, a lot of the stuff he did wasn't. Now, that isn't to say that there wasn't some bad things that that person did, okay? But just like humans, we all do things that we probably shouldn't do, okay? So that doesn't inherently make us evil for that. But, so his dark side, saying dark side makes it seem evil. It's not, so I have to repreface that. His shadow side is Lucifer. So there's that. And I want to bring up something. So when you awaken, we understand that we are in a school. We are educating ourselves. I don't think most people notice, but when you learn something new, you elevate. And you either elevate or you go down. So you react to things that you're being told, things that you believe. So like periods, for instance, and all you guys who aren't healthy enough to handle the period stuff, I'm sorry about that. I'm not really sorry, but whatever, I'm warning you. So with periods, for instance, we've been made to believe that periods are supposed to be excruciating. It's literally in movies, it's everywhere. It's the same for childbirth, by the way. We were told that it's supposed to be painful, horrible, whatever. For me, for instance, this is what I noticed with myself. So, when I start my period, I can be a little tired, but, whatever. I might have a little bit of a backache, but whatever. The minute I see that I'm on my period, it goes downhill. I immediately start getting cramps and feeling really uncomfortable and just irritable and all these other things. It's because of our paradigm. We've been told it's supposed to suck horribly. So that is what we tell ourselves when us women start our period. Now, that is not a reason to tell us women that we are liars and we don't know what we're talking about, because it is a very real situation. We are making us feel that way, but we don't know that. And if a man tells a woman that, especially one that's not awakened, that's not a very good thing, because they're going to feel attacked. because they feel like they don't have control over it, because they don't at this time. Because they're not awakened. They don't understand that. And to this day, even though I'm awakening, I still have a hard time with that. So it's not something that can be fixed overnight. So I just wanted to preface that. So we are in a school. And when you're in school, even normal school, if you do not go through the proper channels, you will be held back. You will reincarnate again in this school of earth if you do not figure out the things that you want to figure out. And when you are on your awakening journey, you realize you really don't want to reincarnate on this planet anymore. Like, you're just completely over it. You don't want to. So if you truly don't want to reincarnate anymore, you need to graduate. And the only way to graduate is to go up the ladder. And the only way that I can describe this, and I have notes on my phone about that. So let me get my notes. And also, I do all my videos as raw as possible. So if you see every detail, even details that most people end up deleting out of their videos, I'm sorry, but I want to keep things as authentic as possible and raw. So this might be long, so bear with me, okay? So the concept of Mary Magdalene fighting archons. So when you are going through these levels of awakening, you will encounter these things called archons, which are technically like demons that attach themselves to you. And honestly, like, it doesn't feel the way the imagery shows it, so I just want to preface that. So Mary Magdalene fighting archons and awakening stems from esoteric Gnostic traditions. And like I said earlier, just because there's a lot of biblical text in here doesn't mean it's actually religious. And I'm saying that because this thought process is literally in so many religions and so many ancient texts. It's crazy. But when it comes to religious texts or spiritual texts, those are preserved more if the weirdos stop damaging them. Because religious and spiritual people tend to protect their writings more. So that's why it's survived through centuries. But if you go back into ancient history, you can find certain things that lead to what I'm saying. It might not automatically be Mary Magdalene or Yeshua. It might be other names. It might be other situations. But I just wanted to preface that. In Gnostic texts, like the Gospel of Mary, she is portrayed as premier spiritual visionary who understood the soul's inner ascent, navigating the past oppressive cosmic powers known as the archons to achieve ultimate awakening. Gnostic roots in the soul's ascent. In ancient Gnostic cosmology, archons are material or psychic rulers of the lower universe who try to trap the human soul in ignorance and illusion. There's a lot of illusions, and I'm going to have to do another video on that. The Gospel of Mary describes the soul's journey passing upward through toll booths of psychological and spiritual blocks, specifically darkness, desire, ignorance, wrath, and the false ruler. Mary Magdalene acts as a revealer of these secrets. inner teachings, guidings of other disciples on how to free the mind from material illusion and connect directly with the divine source. The modern esoteric interpretation. Modern spiritual movements view Mary Magdalene as an embodiment of Christ consciousness and the divine feminine. Fighting the Archons is a reinterpreted psychological, spiritual, and overcoming inner patterns of fear, doubt, distraction, and disconnection. Awakening is achieved not through blind dogma, but via gnosis, direct personal inner knowing and deliberate withdrawal of one's attention from negative mental loops. And mental loops used to affect me so much, okay? So I understand someone's going to resonate with that. Let's see here, where was I? Seems that I might have done something. So I might reread something so I don't miss it. To visualize Mary Magdalene's journey of awakening as described. Oh, I'm right. To visualize Mary Magdalene's journey of awakening as described in Gnostic texts, like the Gospel of Mary, we can map out her ascent through the restrictive planetary spheres of the toll booths, controlled by the Archons. Each level represents psychological or spiritual trap that must be overcome to reach ultimate liberation. Liberation is graduation from the school of earth, literally. The journey of the soul's ascent, the ancient moves from the lowest and most dense layers of the material illusion upward into the absolute divine freedom. The 5 stages of awakening: the material world, the starting point, the trap, physical entrapment, blind dogma, and absolute material conditioning. The victory, the initial spark of gnosis, inner knowing, that makes the soul realize it does not belong to this world. Darkness and ignorance, the first toll booth. The trap, the Archons of intellectual blindness, who convinces the soul that nothing exists beyond what can be seen or touched. Remember, our reality is an illusion. Just because we can touch what is in front of us doesn't mean it's necessarily real. I mean, it's real, but it's not. Everything has energy inside of it. So I thought to put that in. The victory, eliminating the mind with higher wisdom, recognizing the illusion of the material world. Desire and wrath, the emotional traps. The trap, emotional turbulence, earthly attachments, addictions, reactive anger that pulls the soul's vibration back down. The victory, emotional mastery and detachment, refusing to feed the Archons with negative emotional energy. Starve them, essentially. The false ruler, the final psychic test, the trap, the ego, deep-seated fear, and the ultimate illusion of separation from the divine source. The victory, realizing that the false ruler has no actual power over the true self, shattering the final mental chains, ultimate awakening. The divine, the destination, the result, reclaiming Christ consciousness in the divine feminine, the state, total reunification with the divine, the absolute divine source, resulting in permanent peace, freedom from reincarnation. The breakdown of the 7 levels. Level 1, darkness. The baseline, state of unconsciousness, fear. The complete spiritual blindness. Level 2, desire, craving. The trap of constant longing, worldly attachment, and the soul defeats this by realizing that the desire only governs the physical form. your avatar. Level 3, ignorance, intellectual blindness, and the false belief that the physical world is the only reality. Level 4, the excitement of death, the existential dread, and being afraid of death, and believing in time, essentially. And I can do another video on that to make more sense. But most people, either they've run their world with time so aggressively that they don't rest at all. Like when you don't focus on the time and you're having fun, you forget about time. And it releases this burden from you. And I know a lot of you have felt that and understood that. Level 5, the kingdom of the flesh, being ruled entirely by physical urges, survival instincts, and material conditioning. It's what we've been told throughout our whole life. And remember, you don't have to slap religious stuff onto this because everyday things connect with this too. Level 6, the fullest wisdom of the flesh, rationalizing spiritual truths through raw, limited human logic or dogmatic religious rules. Level 7, wrathful wisdom, the final most subtle trap, spiritual ignorance, judgment, and the deep-seated anger of the separation. So that is the levels. And Mary Magdalene went through those levels to ascend. Now she has awakened, I don't know how many times she is reincarnated. We just know of the two, when she was Sophia, trapped in that dark world and got rescued by Yeshua, and then she reincarnated as Mary Magdalene and went through another awakening. So that being said, I think it's really important to realize this doesn't happen overnight. And you actually have to put in the work. You do. And I will warn you, it's not for the weak. It's extremely difficult. Things that are really good for you tend to not be easy, especially when you've held on to a lot of trauma, a lot of fear, and a lot of things that you need to break. But after this video, I'm going to try to do a video on the ego death, because I've gotten to that level and I'm able to talk about that. I'm getting up. I just wanted to let you know that, you know, this awakening journey is our own. And there's a lot of false stuff out there that will keep us confused. So, Yeshua taught to go inward and to meditate and to listen to ourselves and to trust ourselves. The more you do this, the more that you will learn that it's safe to do so, and the more you will grow. So I hope you like this video and you want to hear more from me and more situations, more videos. So if you liked it, please like and subscribe, and I will see you next time for the next video. Bye.